Welcome to Skyvia Tutorials. In this video, we will show how to integrate QuickBooks with SQL Server. Skyvia makes it easy to integrate QuickBooks data with any other cloud apps, databases, or data warehouses without coding. In this video, we will cover two scenarios: replication of QuickBooks transactional data to SQL Server, ELT, and sync data from SQL Server to QuickBooks using reverse ETL. This tutorial assumes you already have a Skyvia account. If you don't have one, you can create it for free by following the link in the description. Let's start by creating connections to QuickBooks and SQL Server. To connect to QuickBooks, click Create New and select Connection. Look for QuickBooks in the list. Skyvia supports connections with both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. For this tutorial, we will select QuickBooks Online. Sign in with your QuickBooks credentials and save the connection. Now, let's create a connection to SQL Server. Skyvia supports connections with databases and data warehouses such as MySQL, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, SQL Azure, BigQuery, Redshift, and more. To connect to SQL Server, specify server host, username, password, and database. If your SQL Server is not accessible via the internet, use Agent Connection. In this setup, Skyvia connects to the server through the agent application, which acts as a secure layer between Skyvia and your database server. Once the connections are ready, let's move to our first case, data replication of QuickBooks Invoices to SQL Server. To replicate QuickBooks data, click Create New and choose Replication. Select QuickBooks as a source and SQL Server as a target. On the right, you see the list of QuickBooks objects. Skyvia will create a copy of the database with the selected objects and keep it up to date. This copy is ideal for use as a data source in BI tools like Looker Studio or Power BI for generating reports. Skyvia provides access to transactional data like invoices, bills, purchase orders, payments, and more. You can also replicate other objects, such as customers, vendors, and employees. For this example, we select invoice and bill. To adjust the replication settings for the selected object, click the Edit button. All fields will be replicated by default. You can manually select fields for replication and apply custom filters. Select replication modes. Standard applies the integration level behavior with incremental updates. Resync forces the full replication by dropping and creating a table in Target during each replication run. Resync on demand is used for objects that are part of your replication but are not required for each run. With this option, you can include the object in the next replication run by resetting its last sync time. Use History mode to track changes in your database. Enable it for the object in QuickBooks to store every change made in SQL Server. You can also define how to represent complex structured data during replication. This can be set at the integration level or specified for each field individually. Skyvia supports hashing sensitive information when loading data to a database. To hash a field, select Hashed. Once done, click Save Task. Let's check integration-wide replication options. Enable incremental updates to include only changes applied to data since the last replication run. When it's enabled, tables will be created only during the first replication run. Select the Update Schema checkbox to apply data structure changes made in QuickBooks to the schema in SQL Server. Also, you can choose to create or drop tables. Finally, choose the default behavior for representing fields with complex structured data. Select JSON columns to replicate nested objects and arrays as columns with JSON data, or choose separate tables to replicate these fields into additional tables. It's all set, and we can run the replication manually or schedule it. You can set the schedule to start replication every day or on specific weekdays, every few hours or minutes. By doing so, you can achieve near real-time data integration. We schedule it to run every Monday at 11 a.m. Validate the replication to ensure all connections are available and set up properly. Once done, click Create. Let's run the replication and check the results. On the Monitor tab, you see the number of replicated rows, and if some rows fail to replicate, you will receive an error log. Additionally, you can set up email notifications in case the integration fails. Let's move to a reverse ETL scenario. Skyvia Import is a wizard-based ETL tool that allows you to sync data from SQL Server to QuickBooks. Let's set up the integration. Click Create New and choose Import. Select the data source type. Select the SQL Server as a source and QuickBooks as a target. Let's define the source and the target object and map their columns. To do this, we create an import task. Select a customer object. Use the filter option to select the rows you want to import. For example, we select only the records updated last week. Next, specify the target object in QuickBooks. Choose one of the operations to perform. Insert adds new data, and Update changes the values in existing data. Upsert adds new records while updating existing ones, and Delete will help you mass delete data from QuickBooks. We continue with the Upsert operation. Now map the columns. On the right, you see all the columns of the QuickBooks customers. Columns marked with a required symbol must be filled to create or update a record in QuickBooks. Skyvia will automatically map columns with matching names. For those with different names, you can manually adjust the mapping. You can map to the column, set the constant value, use functions and operators in the expression, or select lookup to obtain a value from a different source or target object. If you need to import multiple objects, you can add several tasks. Let's set up the schedule to run import automatically. Now let's create the integration and we're ready to run it. That's it. We imported customers from SQL Server to QuickBooks. All the rows were imported successfully and the QuickBooks data was updated. For complex scenarios, Skyvia offers data flow and control flow. These tools allow building ETL pipelines for advanced transformations across multiple sources with runtime error handling. For instance, this flow selects invoices from SQL Server. Then it adds a custom field based on other SQL Server fields and imports the resulting data to QuickBooks. In this tutorial, you learned how to perform QuickBooks Sync with SQL Server using Skyvia. Try Skyvia for free by following the link in the description. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next videos.